The federal government wants Canadians driving more electric vehicles. It's been a year now since the Liberals rolled out their emissions plan with aggressive sales targets for electric vehicles. By 2026, 20% of all new light vehicles must be electric. That number will need to be 60% by 2030 and 100% by 2035. Joining us to talk more about the progress being made to hit those targets and to realize this transition to EVs as the standard is Rachel Doran. She's the Director of Policy and Strategy for Clean Energy Canada. Welcome to Your Morning.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Let's take a look at this past year since the emissions plan was laid out. What kind of movement have we seen in the uptake of people actually purchasing electric vehicles?
You know, it's been a really exciting year for electric vehicles all around, and we've seen some big rises in numbers of Canadians actually getting out and purchasing and driving electric vehicles. So BC is the leader nationally right now, and 1 in 5 vehicles purchased in BC in the last quarter of 2022 were electric. That's huge, and nationally the number is lower. It's about 1 in 11, but we're really seeing this big rise in electric vehicles and people excited to get behind the wheel and drive. As they know, it's going to be cheaper over the lifetime cost of their vehicle, and 6 in 10 Canadians that we polled in the last year believe they really would be saving money over time by driving an electric vehicle due to lower fuel and lower maintenance costs.
The challenge has been that excitement turning it into accessibility. There were supply chain issues. People were, putting their name on lists for minimum up to a year to wait for them. Has that improved in the past year?
You know, I think we're still seeing some wait lists and, more people looking to buy electric vehicles than have been available. But there's a couple of exciting things on the frontier that are going to make electric vehicles a lot more available. Number one is really this huge uptake in building electric vehicles globally. So this is now a $1.2 trillion industry estimated globally. In Canada in 2022 alone, we saw $8 billion of investments announced just in everything from building batteries to building vehicles. We're really seeing the very first EV manufacturing plant in Canada opens its doors in Ingersoll in 2022. So lots of excitement around trying to get those vehicles, more vehicles built and off the supply chains and into the hands of Canadians that want them. But the other side of the coin is, some of those vehicles roll off the supply chains and end up in other jurisdictions. So California plus 15 other states, Quebec, BC, they've all had these policies that mean that a certain number of electric vehicles need to be sold in their jurisdiction. So if you're a car manufacturer, you actually have to send cars to those jurisdictions. So, while there have been supply chain issues overall, those jurisdictions are a bit better off because there's this predictable number of cars coming in and more availability. And so there's been a big exciting announcement with the federal government really announcing the first steps of making a plan like that for the whole of Canada.
That is exciting, especially, as we know, more vehicles means the cost comes down and therefore making it more accessible. Also announced last spring were plans to build a lithium-ion battery manufacturing plant in Windsor, Ontario. That would be a first in Canada. And of course, you can have more cars, but you need the batteries to run them. How much progress has been made towards manufacturing the parts that are needed to build the EVs?
Yeah, well, there's, last year we saw this big milestone announcement of a gigafactory in Windsor, and just last month we saw the announcement of another big gigafactory in St. Thomas, Ontario, which is actually the first time ever that Volkswagen has built one of its kind of subsidiary giant factories outside of the EU. So as I said, there really are kind of jobs popping up everywhere, from kind of mining the minerals that are going to be needed with investments there to really support Canada. We have all of the minerals required to build an electric battery for an EV. So, we really are being recognized globally. Bloomberg even ranked Canada second this past year in potential to have a battery supply chain here at home. And the federal government has been leaning in with new tax incentives to really try to lure that investment. We estimated that those battery supply chain, everything from building the batteries to building the cars, is really a huge economic potential for Canada. And if we play our cards right, that can be up to 250,000 jobs and almost $50 billion in GDP. So there's really a lot of action in that space, really making sure Canadians are going to have the jobs and the economic possibilities associated with that really big supply chain.
Rachel Doran, thanks for the update on electric vehicles in Canada. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Great to be here.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.